Hello, dear friend. What an honor it is to do this toe reading for you today. And I appreciate you telling me about your right foot, which was crushed in a motorcycle accident. And I would have wondered what happened because clearly there's some differences there, but what a remarkable healing. And the symmetry between your 2 feet is extraordinary, especially considering that this right one was, so crushed in that accident. So, as I have been looking at your toes, I really have felt connected, and I feel like there's some energetic releasing that's going to happen just through me observing your toes yesterday when you sent me the picture, and then today as I'm really touching into your energy and digging in on this toe reading. I can feel it when I have an energetic response in some way, a yawn, a sneeze. Sometimes I get tears, tightness, or other, just feelings that I can get. That's usually an energetic release. And wow, there it is, the yawn already. And it's interesting because as soon as I hit record on this, I felt that yawn coming on. And so, yes, we're about to do some serious energetic releasing here. So your left foot in toe reading is your internal self. It's how you relate to yourself, your spirit, your connection with source, the way you talk to yourself in your mind, the actions that you take for yourself. How do you feel in your comfort level in this world? What is your relationship with yourself like? And your right foot represents everything that's happening outside of you, the way that you move through the world, the way that people receive you and not receive so much as experience you, the way you interact with the world, and the way that you show up, in the way that you communicate, in the way that you take action, in the way that the world responds to you. And so I'd be very, very curious to know, at the time that you had this accident, what was happening in your outside world. You're the first person that I've ever done a reading for after, the hundreds and thousands of readings that I've already done, that has had such a severe trauma to the entire foot. Broken toes, different things like that, that shows up, as a message, and reading that energy, the whole foot. And since that's your right foot and all of those things, when we have a chance to talk about this, I'd really like to explore what was going on. And before we get too far into this, I felt inspired to draw a card for you before this reading started. And I drew for you from the Spirit of the Animals deck. It's like in my top 2 most used decks. It's done by Jody Bergsma. And you got the White Stag. The White Stag represents nobility, transitions, a spirit journey, change, Queen of the Forest, dreams, foreknowing, leadership, vitality, solitude, protection, purity, masculinity, and luck. And that masculinity, that is the yang energy. I don't use the words feminine and masculine very much anymore. I use the terms yin for what we typically call the feminine energy, and yang for the masculine energy. And I find it interesting that it was that right foot that was crushed in the accident, as the right side represents our yang side, the masculine energy side. The White Stag is a protector. It says, you are an old soul. Your best friend is nature. Use your intuition to take you where you want to go. Awaken to the powerful force within you. You are meant to create blessings with your magic. I know that you are a magic maker. And then I'm just going to read the rest of this guide. The White Stag is revered in many myths and cultures. To the Celts, The majestic white stag was the one who moved between the worlds. To Christians, stag represented Christ in the miracle of birth and renewal. To some, stag was fertility and abundance. White stag is often compared to the sacred white buffalo for its connection to the Great Spirit. It is usually agreed that if white stag appears to you in your dreams, meditations, or in the physical world, it is powerful medicine. Stag as totem belongs to old souls. Stag people sense that they have been down this earth road before. If stag is your totem, you will feel intimately linked to nature and need its solace. You are a natural leader and will feel the need to guide and protect the vast magic of the woodland and those who dwell there. The white stag people are connected to nature spirits and feel their presence. You are intuitive and can often sense the future. Your crown of horns, like branches from a tree reaching upward, grows ever higher in a quest for spiritual knowing. If stag is your medicine, you have more blessings than you know, more knowledge than you can imagine, and more magic than you ever believed. So I'm going to put white stag right here in my card holder. And I've asked our angels and guides to be here during this reading. Okay. The energy of the toes is spirit path on the left foot and life path on the right foot. The rest of the toes have the same energy for each foot. It's just how that energy is presented, whether it's internal or external. So the second toes are the communication and expression toes. Third toes are action. Fourth toes are relationship, and fifth toes are prosperity and trust. And so the first message that I got when I saw your toes was the massive intuition that you have here. And I find it interesting that White Stag was the card that I pulled for you, because that is such a sign of intuition. This is the channel of intuition right here coming in between these two toes. And then down here, where it's a little square and open, this is the leadership toe, or what I like to call the queen's toe. You are a trailblazer. You stand alone. In your spirit path, you have taken risks. You have learned what works for you, and you're good with your spirit path. Now, I find the curvature of this toe very interesting. If you look at your nail is pretty straightforward, and it comes out and in. And so what I'd like you to explore, and we can explore this together as well, and that is with this bend. So down here, this is the generational stuff. So, the things that you brought into this life with you because you are an old soul. And the experiences that you had in early childhood led you away from the generational kind of spirit path. I'm feeling, just kind of the patriarchal path of the way that our world has been for millennia, where it was this very patriarchal way, and you stepped away. You moved away from that. Physically, maybe not, but definitely emotionally and intellectually and spiritually, that wasn't working for you. So you stepped out and did your thing. And what I'm curious about is how it's coming back in. I don't see this necessarily. What I'm feeling for this is that you stepped away, you're doing your own thing, and you're coming into even greater spiritual alignment. And what I would invite you to do with this toe is gently push in right here on this knuckle where it starts to push out there, and then push out here. And so it's going to be a motion like this, where you're just gently inviting that toe to move in a straighter path, and in a way that invites the energy. We only want to be gentle, to gently invite the energy to track straight. And also to stay grounded. Being grounded is very, very important to you. The White Stag is your protector, who's very into the nature. And then with all of this earthy Virgo energy, you definitely want to be grounded That's very, very important for you. So I know that you already practice grounding practices, and I would invite you to look at new ways that you can ground yourself, and just being very conscious of staying grounded and making sure that you're spending that time in nature. And then again, and gently inviting the energy of this toe to track straight, because as you do this, what will end up happening is as that generational energy gets released, and it releases it for you, for your ancestors, and for your progenitors. Is that the right word? Your kids and your grandkids. So it moves the energy through the generations. And so releasing this old stuff down here and inviting the energy to just track straight in 100% alignment with your soul. On your right foot, this is your life path toe. And if there's any pictures that you have where it's even a little bit blurry, if you're wearing sandals or something like that from before your accident, that would be a very fascinating thing to have a look at. Very, 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 very straight. And then it's been very recently, we can see this in the nail, how the nail is pointing off to the side, and then this. Now I know a little bit about what's been happening in your life for the last probably year and a half. And that, what's been going on in your life would be enough to have these toes start tracking. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a minute to think back, have they always been this way? Or is it recent that they've started to point this way? Our toes are our first messengers. Once you know how to kind of read your toes and you're paying attention to your toes, you can really start to see stuff that shows up long before it shows up in your body or in your mind, in your conscious mind. And so as far as your life path, you've got a lot left to give in this life. And I invite you to journal around, what does that look like for you? What does it look like for you to continue to be, to create blessings with your magic in this life for the next while? What does that look like? And journal about that. And again, same with this toe as with this toe, just gently pushing in here, pushing out here, and inviting that energy to track straight in your life path. I like to do this while asking questions, like the questions, what am I meant to do for, the next bit in my life, for the next leg of my journey? What is in my soul alignment? Help me recognize the serendipities, the synchronicities, and the opportunities that come to me so that I'm clear on what I will do for this next leg of my journey. And just like you have this channel of intuition right here, if this toe is tracking a little bit more straight, that would open up even more intuition. And you are also at a beautiful time in your life where your intuition, our intuition is always boundless, always just limitless. And as women, the older we get, the more in tune with our intuition we can become. And by having this energy in your life path toe track more straight, you're going to open up this channel of intuition and your leadership. And I'm going to recommend that you slide down, circle around, and come back up. So like a figure 8, an infinity symbol here on the side of your toe and down here to this bone in your foot. And while you gently stabilize and apply a little bit of pressure pushing out that way. I think that's going to be a really powerful move for you to make on your toes. All right, next, let's talk about these communication toes. So your communication toes, communication and expression is a very, very high value for you. It is important that you have the freedom to communicate and to express. And knowing that about yourself, I know that you already do know that about yourself. So your toes are confirming this for you with this longer second toe. Now, I want you to just observe that both of these toenails and the tops of the toes are turning in just a little bit. So your spirit path and your life path, these nails are kind of looking to the future, and these second nails are kind of looking to the past. So there's another journal prompt for you. What are you looking for in the future that you don't feel that you have now? And in your communication and expression, in what ways are you looking to the past, and what are you looking, what set of circumstances, experiences, or stage in life are you looking at in the past where perhaps you felt like you had greater ability to communicate and express? Now, I want to be just let you know that these are not, this is not a screaming message. This is just a message that, hey, things are trending this way. And so with that awareness, we can change that. And just a real gentle little twist on those toes, just moving them, asking the energy to track straight. And while considering those questions, what am I looking to the past about? And what was it about that time that somehow subconsciously you're looking at that is creating this looking backwards energetically? Your action toes are absolutely fantastic. Let me tell you what I love about your action toes. They are straight. Look at the symmetry. What you do internally, you set your mind to, you do. What you say you're going to do externally, you do. When we look at your chart here, and we know that you've got this Sagittarius rising. Beautiful. You've got Saturn here in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign. It's moving forward. It likes that moving forward motion. And then up here in your Virgo, you've got Mars. And so Mars is up here in Virgo, moving forward, action moving forward, and making sure that that analytical side of you is taken care of, that part of you that wants to know is taken care of without getting on the overthinking bandwagon. And so, yeah, just some beautiful, beautiful action that you've got going on down here with your action toes. And also, if we look here, Mars is unaspected. That means this Mars isn't talking to anyone. Mars is, in a wide conjunction, very wide. I don't usually even count 6-degree conjunctions, but Mars is right here on your midheaven line, moving you forward, just that arrow, bam, bam, towards your destiny. But Mars isn't talking to anybody else. Okay, Mars is unaspected, except that it's right next to your midheaven. And so these action toes, keep taking action. The other thing I love about these action toes is they have some flexibility. So you are adaptable. That's the great thing about Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign, so it can be very adaptable. You can pivot. You can be going down a path and go, wait, intuition just kicked in. This isn't going to work for me. Or there's just a little thing I want to tweak, and bam, you can pivot and you can go. You are adaptable. What a great gift. And this is actually a huge part of your identity. So we see that your first house is here in Sagittarius, and then you have Saturn here in your first house. Saturn, who brings structure, who brings who will take things out. What's not important. So you can set your sights on something and see it, and then take out what doesn't work. Take out what doesn't belong. Beautiful skill. This was one of the main messages that really your toes wanted me to share with you is this is such a gift. Your action taking is such a gift. And so the journal prompt I would invite you to consider for that is, what is the action for me to take to create the magic in this next leg of my journey. Next, let's talk about your relationship toes, relationship with self, relationship with others. And so these are oftentimes the toes, the last two toes tend to be kind of the karmic toes, or the toes that just carry a lot of generational, stuff, generational stories, generational blocks, generational baggage. And so you do have some callousing on these toes, protecting yourself from relationships where you've been hurt, relationships that have really taught you a lot of lessons, and not easy lessons. And so there is some, protection with some of the calluses here. From this fourth toe, you have clearly done a lot of work on yourself. You are actively involved in the work of personal development, in the work of soul evolution. And it shows in this toe. It is relatively straight. You do have a little bit of callousing on that. We're going to talk that when it comes to your trust toe here. And it's right here, these three toes are very close together. And so the way that you speak, the actions that you take, and your identity as a human are very closely tied together. And so just make sure that you walk your walk, you talk your talk, and that you are kind to yourself, and that you hold yourself to very high responsibility. That's another aspect of, characteristic of Saturn in your first house here, is that personal responsibility. You are very good at taking personal responsibility. Your toe over here, your fourth toe, your relationship toe, as it relates to others, still very, very good. You can see a lot of nail there. There's some curvature to it. There is some blocked energy. If you look here with your intuitive eyes, you can see that there's some blocked energy here, more so than on the right side or on the left side. And there is what appears to be more callousing going on here. So this would make sense. People let us down. You are such a lover of people. You care so deeply for people. And so with this toe and this toe, since you're going to be massaging these toes, I would just take those toes and just ask, how can I, what can I do to have an even better relationship with myself? And what relationship outside of me, what relationship is the one that needs some attention right now? And then just feel into that. What does that look like and feel like for you in these relationships? But really, overall, your relationships, so toes are spectacular. And again, this has so much to do with the personal work that you have done, and with the expressive, open-hearted person that you are. Let's talk about your prosperity and trust toes. These both represent prosperity and trust. I have found through the years that your left side really does represent, to a greater degree, trust with yourself and trust in the outside world. And on your right foot, that represents trust and prosperity coming into you. You've got a nice full nail on this. There's not a lot of blocked energy in here. So just for context, if we look here at this toe and then we look here at this toe, we can see, and I wonder if you've had an injury, a broken toe. Little toes oftentimes get broken. Isn't that interesting that our trust and prosperity toes get broken a lot of times in this lifetime? So I've always found that to be interesting. I have broken my own little toes several times. So this little toe here, some trust. And so in what areas are you, the trust tends to be on a pendulum. And so there's like the not trusting enough and the too trusting. And so just a thing for you to meditate on. And this little toe could use a little bit of a rub to release that energy. And as you release it, you're going to find that you come to the middle road of trust. because we don't live in a world where you can just trust everyone. I wish we did, but we don't. And so a healthy amount of caution is healthy. And we don't want to be really distrusting. And so I would invite you to just rub this toe and ask what this toe is communicating. What betrayals of the past have not fully been released yet? And are you ready to fully release those betrayals from the past? And not just betrayals from people outside of you, but the ways that you've betrayed yourself. In what ways have you gaslighted yourself when your intuition was telling you something and you talked yourself out of it with that beautiful Virgo mind of yours? Your intuition is so incredibly strong. And so in what situations have you thought and overridden your intuition, especially when it comes to working with people? That would be a really powerful question for you to consider. A couple of things that your feet would really, really like. So first of all, your feet are really going to love the earth. Just walking around barefoot in the earth, cannot recommend that highly enough. Your feet are also really going to love to be in some water. So whether that's in a stream or a river or one of those personal spas, your feet are really going to love that. You don't have a lot of water in your chart. You've got Neptune over here in Scorpio. You have, and that's really, let me just double check this. You've got a goddess here. You've got some goddesses, but they're not heavily impacting your chart. So yeah, you don't have a lot of water. And so your feet would love some water. I'm imagining, just one of those little home personal foot spas. And then you've got the bubbles, so you've got the air, and enjoying your feet would really, really enjoy that. And that would be a beautiful part of your meditation, is to have your feet soaking in, that water, with put a few crystals in there for the earth, some essential oils in there for air and water. And just as the water is massaging your feet, asking yourself some of these journaling prompts that I have invited you to consider and meditate on through this reading. So the number one messages that I would, the toes are wanting to translate to you. One has to do with that trust that we just spent a bit of time on, working through peeling back some of those layers around that trust. Two are these big toes, and just inviting them to track straight through that manual work, as well as energetically, inviting them to track straight and open up this intuition. Three, what actions are you going to take to create magic in this world? Action is one of your inborn superpowers. It is your birthright to take action. It has been such an honor to read your toes, and I look forward to having a discussion about this